welcome to Talking TUF, and today's hosts...
Myself, Rob Foster.
And Josh Phelps. It's not quite the American cheesy intro we're going for, but we're gonna get one done.
We're gonna get there. I think we're gonna hire this guy. He is going to...
Sounds incredible, by the way.
Pump up the audio.
Pump it up. Anyway, so as we're starting now with a little bit of an intro to what's going to be going on through today. Today we're going to be talking about shiz, being the word, that keeps you young, and not just obviously getting active, being fit, and eating good foods, but the other things that keep us young. Then we're going to cover sleeping for weight loss. It's something I spoke about. I've done a little post about it in a video this week, and the importance of sleep, because yes, there's masses of importance when it comes to sleep, but for weight loss, people don't really look at it. People don't look at it. So we're going to look at that.
Sleep for weight loss, massive.
It's
the words that
huge.
normally don't go together, but
Massive.
it's. I think we'll get into it, but children have a massive impact on your sleep and everything that goes alongside that. So,
and then we almost had like a twinning moment with pizza, cookies, and you had a couple additional beers this weekend. And is that allowed? Are you allowed to do that? Well,
there's no rules to say otherwise. So.
Well, depends whose rules you're reading. Anyway, we're going to start off again with gym fails. It's something that I want to be pushing, because I think once we get people on board, gym fails are fun. As I say, we to an extent. And last week we listened to Rob's gym fails, by the way, plural. He has done more than one, and although he tried to claim at the beginning of the session that he hasn't, and he has. I personally, as you can imagine, have possibly had more than one. I'll talk about probably my most recent, because that's the other thing, is that, we tend to think that gym fails are for newbies, and people that, and to be honest, they should kind of be, but we do make mistakes.
I think the more seasoned you get in lifting, the more, maybe I say risks you take, but you almost you depend on your abilities and things a little bit more, and it does. And the heavier weights you're lifting, the more switched on you got to be. But it becomes, you get a little bit complacent sometimes. So
my fail, I was fired up. I was feeling good, right? And this was Gold Manchester. This was only last year. Okay, so bear in mind, this is, I want to say, I don't know, 12 years plus worth of lifting and whatever it may be. Anyway, I hadn't done any heavy lifting for a while, and I was feeling good. It was a Sunday morning. Feeling good, fired up, doing some squatting. There was a class going on, and we had a trainer running the sessions. I'm still cracking on in the corner, feeling good. I was like, I can't stop here, right? I'm on it. I'm feeling good. So basically, he said to the trainer, I was like, right, okay, is there any chance you can spot me? Okay, can you spot me? I've just cracked a pretty heavy back squat. I'm doing it to a step. The step was actually Rob's step, and this is what pains me the most about this story. The step had been with Rob prior to us even starting at the unit. It wasn't a cheap step. It was a Reebok deck step. It was... Anyway, enough about the step. So
I think they do have weight limits. That's the thing, isn't it? But again, pretty solid. I mean, I've lifted off that from years ago in my garage as a bench, and... Yeah, then you check the documents. It says
capacity in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's tested to, but yeah, it wasn't a heavy duty step basically. So we found that out. So
basically, get into it. I'm box squatting down to the step. This is the right height. I'm getting just below. Parallel. Not that it's, you don't have to, but this is where I was at. I felt safe, felt comfortable, was doing good, and I'm hitting limits, and I'm there, and I'm like, PB is on. I'm fired up. I'm feeling good. Got a buzz around me.
Paw Patrol again.
And
you don't know that yet. But
I have no clue what you're on about with Paw Patrol.
Fired up.
I'm fired up.
It's one of the. It's Marshall from Paw Patrol.
Well, I mean,
for all the parents out there, you know the score.
you know Marshall.
It's the same quote.
So, bars on the back, loading up, feeling good, hitting heavy weights. It felt big, and I'm like, right, okay, I've basically just hit my peak. I've equaled my BB, right? And I'm like, that flew up. That felt great. So probably put a little bit too much on, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, and I was like, right, okay, good. We're here. I'm doing it. Jemai just spotting me. I'll only need a little bit of a push if need be. Get into it. Cool. Jump under the bar, lift out, make my noise, back go up. Anyway, get down, touch the step, drive up. I've hit a sticking point. So I'm probably, I want to say 3/4 up through the lift. And at that point, you're like, surely you're up. You think you're up. And I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like, whoa, this is it. Anyway, so called upon my spotter, who, should have been there, was kind of there, wasn't there at the best of, let's be honest, he wasn't the best spotter at the time, but that's him, and got under, we didn't move. I was like, oh, sugar.
So for anyone who doesn't know how to spot a squatter, basically, the person would stand behind, arms go under their armpits, and they'd actually lift the person and the weight up. Obviously, you weigh, let's say 100 kilos. I mean, a ballpark figure there, but yeah.
Probably right.
With the weight on the bar, this guy, your spotter's not going to lift 270, or whatever he had on, 270 kilo person and a bar up in one go. But it's to
270 kilo person? I'm not having that.
The bar on your back, so you technically your whole weight. I don't know what I'm assuming you squatted 170-ish, maybe more. I don't know.
Okay,
what did you have on the bar?
I actually had 240 at the time.
240, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So
that's what threw me off. That's when you said 270. I was like, are you calling me a 270? I put on a bit of pound.
I think I just probably assumed that's kind of what my max might have been or something at that time. But so 340 kilos to be spotted. Now, when you'd assume the person squatting would still be pushing up, but if you've exceeded your muscular capacity and you're on the limit, that's why these guys squatting heavy have like 2 spotters at least. Yeah. And potentially...
It's foolish of me. Stupid.
It was,
It was a huge gym fail. And the spotter should have been out, right? I should have had the spotter bars out. I was just, I'll be honest with you, I was just in this crazy land of like majestic lifting. I was like, wow, this is powerful. Nothing's stopping me. And I was like, all I'm going to need is a touch if I'm not, but I've got this. There was so much self-belief and confidence, and I got just stuck. And I was like, oh no, how embarrassing is this? Anyway, so got stuck. Spotter didn't pull through. He then panics.
That's probably why, because he tried to lift you, and usually the person would start, the bar would be coming up, and you can just be like,
it just wasn't there at the right time. He left it too long. So when I was like, right, it took him about like, it felt like 2 minutes, but it probably took him like 10, 15 seconds. Anyway, it was too slow. Next thing, he's ran. He's basically ran up and down the gym. He's been in panic, which is somewhat you'd be laughing in any other situation. If it was filmed, this would be genius. So he's like, anyway, then as I'm like, so I'm controlling it down eccentrically, right? So bear in mind, this is heavy. And I'm like, oh no, there's a step beneath me. So I'm just trying to think here now, logically, what I'm going to do. So now I'm kind of almost sat on the step. And as you just discussed, it was not built for like 340 kgs worth of...
It was 100.
So 340 kgs was pushing limits. So I'm on there and I'm like, this is so stupid, so dangerous. And I did, and I had to help, and I held it. And hence, I mean, looking back at it, it's ridiculous. I don't even want to share the story. I don't know why I'm sharing the story. It's like people will look at me differently. So I'm holding it, and I'm embraced. And to be fair, I'm kind of locked in, and I'm just so focused. I'm like, right, I've got to think about what to do here, because the spotter hasn't got a clue. He then starts to decide he's going to pull the weight off. I had to stop him from doing that, because he's going to take a 20 plate off one side. As you can imagine, 20 kg off of one side is going to put me into tipping land. And if you imagine your spine under that sort of compression, that movement, I was like, no. Had to stop that.
You're going to need 2 people doing exactly the same time. And even then, one of them is very tough.
Yeah, it's not happening. So I'm like, right, okay, and there's only one other person there, and he's there, and he's flapping. He's definitely flapping. And I'm like, right, okay, cool. So then in my head, I'm like, right, there's only one way in my head. And people will probably, you maybe comment on this, but why don't you just do this, why don't you do that? And thinking back, yeah, there was a couple of other options for sure. Possibly could have got the spotters under, maybe, dropped down to that. Anyway, this wasn't happening, right? So I'm on the step bench, sort of whatever. Got 240 on my back. I'm locked up. It felt like I was there for about 2 days. It was probably about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I'm like, right, I'm gonna have to ditch it. But in my head, I'm thinking, this is Rob's step.
I kind of donated it to the unit, so actually, I didn't care one bit about that. That was
but it was in my head. I was like, there's only one way off, and I could think, and it probably still isn't the safest way. But anyway, you make silly. This is why it's a gym fail, right? So next thing, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to project up forwards with some magical energy. I think it was one of those car moments where you hold it, baby holds a car or something, or mum holds a car off a baby, whatever, and just launch it back and step forward. And that's what I went for. Mm-hmm. And next thing, luckily, it works. I sort of projected up from this holding static hold for, it was at least a minute though. Drove up, don't know where the energy come from. I think it was from fear. Popped it off. as you can imagine, that step
Bar
just
across the step.
smashed across the step. The bar somewhat was
I think it
fine,
was
to be fair, but
maybe
it
a
just
slight
smashed
bend,
it.
but yeah, otherwise.
Oh, it was disastrous. So yeah, I mean, that's just I don't want people to fear training with me, because that's not the case. I'm much more careful with clients, obviously, but it just shows sometimes we just have these moments of madness and do silly things, and I suppose put more faith in my spotter than maybe I should have. And yeah, so be aware if you're going to be spotted that you're incredibly comfortable with that person and reassured, and also just take more safety than you think. Like, be
overly cautious.
don't be a complete fool like me.
Yeah,
There's
we've seen
no
it before.
benefit.
But members feel confident, but even if you've got someone behind you, just put spotters out, or have safety measures in place just in case that you might think you feel strong.
I do wish some part of me, I mean, it could shatter my career talking about this, but I do wish part of me had that filmed, because I think this spotter's reaction was genius. Like, it was just like, what do I do? I was like, let me think for a second. I've got 240 kg on my back. Your flapping around is not helping me currently. I'm still under the bar as you're trying to talk to me, and not be funny, but when you're embraced and locked up,
Can't be too
if you
lucky.
asked me to do that now, right, like as just a training thing with probably like 200 kg or 150 kg, I'd probably struggle to hold that position for that long, like, because I wasn't completely relaxed.
It's not comfortable, is it?
You can't completely relax, because if you're completely relaxed, I'd have been
Spine
in
would be
bits.
in a flexion.
So there you go. That's my gym fail.
Wow, there you go, kicking off the episode with a monster.
Well, I mean, yeah. So going into staying young, stuff that keeps you young, that doesn't keep you young. That finishes things off quite quickly. That can shorten life quite drastically. But yeah, so shiz that keeps you young, and not just obviously training and nutrition. We know, right, that being active, getting exercise, eating good foods, and that prolongs our life. We know these things. It's not, without being rude, it's not rocket science. Nobody's turned around and went, oh yeah, but if you exercise, actually no, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. Who was it that thought they had a certain amount of beats or something in their heart, or like, or they wear their bones down, wear their bones down.
You've only got a certain amount of heartbeats, so why would you go and elevate your heart throughout life?
And then the argument is that, well, if you're fitted, that your natural heart rate is slower. So yeah. Anyway, listen, but whatever. We know that exercising and eating well is going to help prolong your life. But through natural causes, sort of thing. If nothing else, erratic. It gives you the best opportunity. So what we're talking about today is actually like other things that keep us on point. And the reason was we were looking at business and different things. And when you look at our business and things, the biggest thing for us is keeping young, keeping on top of things. We're a gym that's been established for over 7 years, and there's loads of gyms popping up now, similar to what we're doing. Back then there wasn't, right? There just wasn't. So it's kind of like, how do you keep on trend?
I'd say last 3 years or so, the fitness industry is ramped up massively. Not in just the small independent gyms, but everything from online delivery to things. Obviously, we've seen that go tenfold since lockdown, but the whole sort of health and fitness thing is on an upward trend, because people have got to a point and they see, hopefully, obviously, people see value in prolonging their life by health and fitness. But like I said, there's other things that you can obviously add to that. Exercise being one of them, for a young mind as well as obviously your body. That's key. But it's powerful.
And the thing is, right, is that when we're doing these things, as I say, being 7 years in and doing and opening a gym, as we'll get called, still wish there was a different term. Anyway, you kind of can get, if you're not careful, just sort of, if you fixate on just the one sort of thing, you're going to get either outdated, or, if you're not looking to progress and move on as a coach or as a business, then yeah, you get left behind. You have to, you don't just because you've been here a long time. I mean, this somewhat happens because you're there for a long time, that you're established and that people come to you because of that. But I've seen it time and time again with local gyms that just kind of rely on their name, on just or because they've been there a while, to stay there and to hope that people will just come to them because of their name. And actually, no, you need to be adapting, you need to be forward thinking. And it's the same for a lot of things. I believe in almost any industry. Like when you're wanting to be the best at what you do, you've got to be looking at what's going on and keeping young. And I do think that is, you've got to be aware of what's around you. And say from a human perspective as well as a business, you need to be open to what's going on in the world. People are working really hard, and we have so much ability now to research different things and upcoming. Say, obviously, we talk about nutrition and training because that's what we do, but there's so many other things, right, going on in the world that are constantly being updated. And if you're stuck in your ways of going, oh yeah, no, well, it worked for all these years ago, then
it's how we do things. Yeah, this is how we do things.
This is how it is.
Look at Blockbuster. Look at HMV or whatever. They were like, well, we sell CDs, we rent videos. In one swipe, they've been taken out. And
not be funny, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago.
That was the norm, right? You'd go and get a CD, you'd go, well, pop down HMV. But now you just come along with digital age and you've got it 2 seconds later. Well, that's
the music industry in itself, like, it's flipped, right? It's completely flipped. Like, it's crazy. CDs even, which felt like yesterday to me, kind of like a non-existent thing. Like, it changed, and it completely changed. But, we always knew there might be different ways of listening to music because we'd seen it ourselves, right? From different things changing. But, and it's kind of what I'm saying is that we've got to stay young in the selves of that. We've got to be open-minded. We've got to listen to things. Yes, there are certain things that are key and that work. And yes, looking at history is fantastic for us to help learn and be great moving forwards. And if you're willing to do that as a person, look at what you've done really well and what works for you. Once again, I relate to fitness and nutrition. There'll be certain things that work really well for you. Look, there's a million diets out there. You may have done one that worked really, really well for you, and for whatever reason it kind of dropped off. That might be the right way to approach it. People are always like, "Oh, I bet you hate Slim World and Weight Watchers and all these other diets." I'm like, no, I don't. No, listen, that's a modality. It's a way of doing or creating the calorie deficit. Now, if it works for someone, absolutely fine. For me, I'd rather get educated in the way that you don't have to rely on that crutch as such the whole time, because as soon as that's taken away or there's a curveball thrown or whatever, that you can't really deal with it so well. But as long as you're educated in the way that it works, and you know that actually if I have this sin or whatever, or go over whatever, that I know I can manage it properly, then you know what, fine. If you're happy with calling something a sin, and which just doesn't seem right to me, but if you want to demonize certain foods and whatever, but you're happy with it and you're getting your result, then, why would I be angry at it? Look at the bigger picture for sure. But this is where, to stay young, I think we've got to be open-minded, got to look at what's changing, how do I adapt with these things, and staying, fit and healthy with it. And as I say,
here's what doesn't work is fad diets. We know that. Fad exercises, things that come along, quickly change and go. What stood the test of time is eating a balanced, healthy diet. And obviously that 20, 30 years ago might look slightly different to now. Today, we've had advances in technology to create the foods that we do and have that in abundance. But as well, in a training perspective, decades ago, back in the olden days, we call it, strongmen and bodybuilders trained the staple movements and got super strong and lean, and they just did the things that the body wants to do. Lift something heavy in a strange way sometimes, like a circus press, which is like literally just ripping a dumbbell off the floor and pressing it overhead, carrying things, heavy things, farmers walks, all those types of movements built a strong foundation. And on top of that, like that, you didn't see guys in the 30s going to do cable flies in the gym. Right, they adapted with what they had, but they got super strong, and the lean sort of physique and the actual overall health. Obviously, back again, we've had advancements in medical and all that, so it's kind of hard to compare the life expectancy and stuff. But people were simple back then in terms of their diet and nutrition, not their mind. They're very smart probably, but I think we've lost that, and we try to create something new, and people always want to almost try and reinvent the wheel and go, well, no, this is the new thing. This is the new thing. This is the new thing.
Keep moving spicy, aren't they? I mean, like, yeah, and you've got to respect some of that, because there's sometimes these new crazy weird things will come out, and you go, actually, that's not a bad little idea. That's not a bad, the whole concept, and it has to be this way, or this is the best way. It's like,
here's the thing that doesn't survive, right? Music, like we said, that's been there, but the way that it was delivered has changed. It's from a plastic disc now to digital. Now, fitness and nutrition and things, now the way it used to be done is, and this is only a few years ago, you go and pay a membership and rent gym equipment. We've said it time again. That's sort of the dated business models of gyms and things are failing now, that people want a different product, but they still want the end result. right? So it's going to be delivered differently. And that's why we always like to keep changing and evolving. Rather than trying to reinvent something new, it's kind of improving on what we do, making it easier, more powerful for members to actually achieve the results without going to the crazy sort of fads of...
Yeah, it's keeping the core fundamentals, doing them well, doing it in a way that keeps it interesting, that, you know, not just doing the same old, you know, keeping it fun, keeping it high energy. As you say about renting equipment, that, you know, there's always going to be a market for that in some respects, but that doesn't mean it's right, because
I think that's the
people,
home gym market now has been, you know, that's sort of, people have looked and said, well, I've spent the same amount on a year's gym membership renting equipment when I can now have it in my garage. Yeah, I know it's a different sort of thing in terms of actually accessing it and being around other people training rather than training on your own in your garage, but people have thought, I'd rather do that and actually have the things I can do when I want to do it rather than wait. And especially with the new guidelines that might come in for big gyms, yeah, it's a smart move, to be honest.
And you know, when we say about the rental equipment and things, you know, how many times have you heard it that people are like, oh yeah, well, I've been a member of a gym for the last 10 years and I just never really got anywhere. And it's like, well, because your belief is that you have to either run on a treadmill for 30 minutes. Like, I've seen it. I reckon I could go to the gym I went to 20 years ago. Yeah, no, not 20 years ago. Probably 10, 15 years ago, sorry. But see possibly the same guy on the same treadmill cracking crazy speeds, right? That's fine. Or for a super long time, for the 30 minutes. But possibly no happier with where they're at. And because they'll tell me. And I've had, you know, I had it at the time saying, oh, you know, what do you do blah, 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 when you come into training, when I went there a bit later on in life. And I was like, I see you, well, you enjoy your running. He was like, oh, well, you know, you just got to keep the midsection down and all this sort of stuff. He didn't say midsection, that's just the term I'll use. But I'm like, but if you're not getting to where you want to get to and you do the same thing the whole time, like, you know, it's the definition of insanity in some respects, right? You keep doing the same thing over and over and expect to get a different result. And expect to get a different result. And it's like, but it's like, yeah, I know, but I like a beer at the weekend, so I have to run it off. And you couldn't change that mentality because that's how he believes you get rid of weight. You know, you do burn calories that way, but he wasn't happy with the way he looked. And it's like, well, you need to look at things. Oh no, I'm too old for that. So, you're not too old for anything. Like, and this guy actually was probably, I want to say mid-40s. Like, he's not even slightly old. But it was like in his head, I can run, I'm comfortable running, but I'm not necessarily happy where I'm at.
He's basically paying to trade his time and energy for weight loss in a way, or maintenance really, because he said if he wasn't,
it wasn't even really getting anywhere.
He's just literally thinking, I'll put the time in the gym on the treadmill, and that'll count. Whereas, like we know, exercise isn't as big a sort of tool or powerful tool for actual weight loss than other things, and it could even you covered it as well as sleep being a powerful weight loss tool, which we'll come to in a bit. But each workout might only burn 250 calories, but it's not the actual session itself. It's the shaping the body, it's adding muscle mass, even if it's not a muscle mass like you think, but just lean toned muscle, changing your physiology around how your body is structured, denser bones and everything, stronger joints. All that then relates to sort of a leaner physique in a way. Obviously, it does come down to diet. It does come down to exercise. It does come down to activity outside the gym. Pretty big, that one. Neat. We've covered that a lot. And it does come down to mindset and stress levels. And there's a lot, basically, we're saying. Don't focus on exercise being the sole weight loss tool that you got to rely on. It's like having a toolbox and having a hammer to do every job, right? You're like, nope, I've got to, I can't even think of something around. Well, I'll tell you what, something I did at the weekend, digging in a trench to put some sleepers in the garden. Right, I've got to dig a trench. I haven't got a spade. I'm just going to use this hammer, claw hammer.
I'd like to see you dig a trench with a claw hammer. That's it. But yeah, so why don't you, as you touched there, and as I said, we can touch on today, the tool of sleep, right? Sleep is something so underrated in so many different ways. I'm going to go on this quite briefly, and if you want to know more, I say I've done a quick video on it, and I'm happy to share that again more publicly. Sleep affects your hormones, right? It's not just about being tired, right? You don't just wake up and you're tired. Yes, that is obviously affected by sleep, right? It gets tougher, I know, and I'm not looking forward to it with a lack of sleep, with maybe children on board and all this sort of thing going on, but it has a huge, it plays a key role. And when a lot of people are looking at their nutrition. I had a comment earlier that someone asked about what's your one biggest struggle with nutrition, and it's like, right, well, I knew I woke up, I didn't feel great, but yet later on I'm still smashing cakes and this, that, and the other. Well, first thing I'd be to looking at is going, right, okay, well, how are we getting on in terms of like our sleep? It would be one of the factors. You know, obviously water intake. What are the other foods we're eating throughout the day? Are we eating sugary things? And it often does stem down through that lack of sleep, becoming, and it affects your hormones, right?
Yeah, hormonal imbalances and appetite suppression and all sorts.
So
down to
like ghrelin, leptin. We're talking about too the hunger hormones, so satiety to make you feel fuller and things like that, and where you find yourself feeling more hungry and the imbalancement that you get from that. And so we then become searching. Okay, we become looking for foods that we believe give us energy. And if someone said to you, right, here you get some energy, the first thing
Haribo.
Well, sugar, right? It's sugar. And they go, oh, I need something. So what happens when we have that sugar? Well, funny enough, we start wanting more sugary things, right? It's kind of, I don't know, it kind of seems super simple to me, right? If I have something sugary and I'm enjoying it and it gives me that little perk or whatever, well, then I see that as the answer. Then what happens? I search for more sugary things. And
tag that with a habit such as the time and sitting in front of the TV, say, or having it after dinner. That becomes more and more like you in your brain. You want that cake, sweets, whatever. So you're like, I finished my dinner. Next, it's a sweet treat.
Yeah, and also as well, I do think that having really sugary things first thing in the morning, people are a little bit like, oh no, I can't do that. Kids' cereals and things, sugar full, whatever. But as you get older, you're almost like, oh no, I shouldn't have that.
I love it how one of your clients actually, I won't say that, I nearly did, but she probably don't care. But having chocolate for breakfast, she loves it. She's open it, but she's such a lean, like she's crazily busy all day, and that you can get away with it, we'll say. But yeah,
but as you say, it's this thing where people look at it and like, oh, I knew I didn't feel great in the day, and you probably have that willpower, that strength to sort of say, no, don't eat cake at this time in the day. You might push on till like 11 kind of, is that like an appropriate time to start smashing cakes and biscuits?
That famous cereal
11's.
brand, because they knew there was a gap in the market.
Yeah. And it's true, right? People go, oh, getting that little bit of a dip. I've smashed my 4 cups of coffee. Yeah. Now I'm looking for sugar. And then you go into sugar. And then what happens is, you say, it becomes that evening thing where you go, right, sat in front of the TV, I'm liking my sugary things at the moment, I'm going to have some more. And then that's it. And then you kind of feel like, and a lot of this will stem down to the fact that you've not quite got adequate sleep. There are other things. If you didn't wake up feeling fatigued, your adrenals fatigued and all that sort of thing, then you'd maybe wake up and go, right, I'm going to get some good nutrients in and feel good. Make sure you've got the right food and stuff prepped around you so that you're not reaching for those sugary snacks. I've said it time and time again, if it's there, you're going to eat it. You will feel weak at some point, right? You'll crave or want something, or if you're trying to be super good, if it's there, you will eat it. And if it's there, it's sitting in the back of your mind. If you're anything like me and I know something's there, I'm like, oh, I know that's there. And then it just waits and bang, hits me. And then that's it. I'm hitting it back, and I'm hitting it back hard. So when we're looking at sleep, it's not just about the fact that obviously the more, when we get the right amount of sleep in balance as well, don't get me wrong, you don't just sleep all day long every day because that'll make you lethargic and tired. Get your exercise in, aim for that 7 hours. I say it might be that you have to have a power hour every now and again. Like, Saturday, I had a midday nap, right? I haven't even got kids. I tested something out last week, didn't I? I tested something out and it kind of meant double training. And I was like, this has hit me hard. And Saturday come around, I got into the garden, started doing some bits and bobs. I was active, and I just sort of went, no, do you know what? The right thing for me to do right now is sit down and chill out. Well, sure enough, I sat down, my body went, and I was gone. 2 hours later, I wake up. And not everyone has that luxury. I know this. Yeah. Look, I know. But my body had told me I was in bits, and I did it. And I rested Saturday. I didn't do any training Saturday. Done too much training during the week. Sunday, went and kept active again. I knew I had to keep active, but I went light, right? So I listened to my body. And that's sometimes a hard thing to do for people. As I say, listening to your body, understanding that what your body needs is great. And actually, once again, I kind of proved to myself that the balance is key, that I can't go 100 miles per hour, multiple hours of a day, really try and push it, try and work, try and do everything, because I'll just burn out. And it doesn't have to be to that extremity of training twice a day and doing all the work and stuff like that. But, it's about getting that balance. And There is no way that Saturday night I was going to bed late. I knew I had to get my sleep in, and I knew if I'd gone out that night then and stayed up till 12 o'clock or whatever, Sunday would have been right off. Monday I'd probably been terrible. And guess what I'd been doing? Searching for sugary foods. 100% searching for sugary foods. Now, I do have to admit, off the back end of this, and it's relative to this, because I was so fatigued and so tired, and I've got a pregnant wife who, when she says what she wants to eat, I'm not really arguing with her much at the moment, we end up having pizza.
Yep, I did too.
And you come forward and you said you had pizza. I was like, good. It always makes me feel better, right? When your training partner, right, business partner, person you're working out with, and they've had like a really good weekend, and you know you've had a bit of a bad weekend, you're like, oh no, he's looking at me different. He can smell the pizza on me. But then you come in, you're like, oh yeah, I had a couple of beers, pizza and cookies. I was like, I totally had that. I was like, this is amazing. I'm not the only person that messed up at the weekend. It's not messing up, but you know.
No, but you also knew that you wouldn't really feel great for having that afterwards.
No.
Feel good eating it, but then, especially with the white dough and the gluten, and a lot of people have struggle with that type of food with digestive issues and bloating, and just it doesn't really feel lethargic from eating it, but it's good, right? And what was your choice of topping? Let's go with that.
Well, as I said, I don't really get a lot of choice at the moment. So with the pregnanto, she Suzanne went for, I think it was pepperoni, peppers, sweet corn. She loves sweet corn on a pizza.
Yeah, it does work.
And I think that was it. It was like vegetably with pepperoni. And the problem is with me, we got it from a certain place where you get a dip, and I love that dip. I used to work there, and since then I've been all over this dip. I can actually dip the pizza in the dip. It's terrible. It's absolutely outrageous. But I was just there, greased up, eating my pizza. I wasn't greased up. I felt greasy afterwards. I wasn't greasing myself up to eat pizza. That's weird. I mean, it's a weird thing to don't even think about. Get out of your mind. Greasy eating pizza. And then it came along with a side of cookies, which, by the way, are absolutely incredible. They are incredible. Don't even want to. Obviously, I don't even look at the calories and stuff, but yeah, they're deadly. They are.
So we went got a few different pizzas and we was having a few different slices of each one. But my choice would be chicken and barbecue. Yeah, you get your peppers and onions on it. Yeah. The cookies were homemade by a friend's missus, which they were, and she did a couple of brownies as well, like Mars bar brownies.
Don't need it.
This is bad news, but so good. And I think it's like again, like a couple of the the friends that we were there, they were saying, oh, it's cheat night, is it? And to me, I don't need to hear this. Come on, it doesn't matter about if it's a cheat night.
You look dirty. Yeah. You're cheating, aren't you? You're a dirty cheat.
Because we've said it before that actually most people should probably should cut it out versus like what we should. We basically can get away with. That's what I'm saying.
And the danger's in the dosage, right?
Is that, if we train 6 days a week, we can probably get away with eating pizza 4 or 5 times a week and still be in a relatively good
challenge shape. Accepted. I see that as a challenge. That's the sort of challenge I want to get. Yeah. I want to get on the can you train 6 days a week and eat pizza 6 days a week and not put on weight? Well,
you probably won't train optimally. That's the thing. And then in your mind, you're like, well, I'm eating well throughout the week because I want to feel better. I want to actually get the most out of the days when I do train it and move around it and actually think cognitively as well, like on a business level. Every day you probably feel sluggish from the nutrition if it was bad. And then you get to those times, those events, and actually is the time to just switch off and go, it doesn't matter. Like, this isn't optimally healthy for me, but I'm gonna accept that. It's about the social situation. It's about being part of that versus no, I can't have that. Sorry. And there would be times when you'd probably be super, super strict, prepping for a competition, a sports event, whatever, or like trying to get to a certain body shape, leanness, or whatever. There's times when people want to be disciplined, and it's great to see that. But sometimes you're just like, why bother giving it up?
Yeah, I do a weird thing actually. I don't know if you've ever done this. So if I'm to have pizza or something, whatever, a little bit extra on the carbs, I like to try and trick myself. Obviously, with pizza, there's a lot of fat as well. I try to ignore that. I focus on the carbs. And then what I do is
I go... maths though, right?
I know, yeah.
Fats over double the calories.
So what I do is, though, in my head, I'm like, right, let's look at this as having a surplus of energy. So tomorrow, I'm going to be able to train twice as hard. So I try and flip the switch and go, right, actually, it's not a negative. It's a bit like carb loading before running a marathon.
Yeah.
Which, no, maybe there's some method to the madness, right? And maybe I have got extra energy, possibly, definitely. And as long as I haven't coupled it up with feeling, because you wake up feeling a little bit like groggy, even if you haven't had, beers or whatever, like you do with that. And I'm exactly the same. But if I wake up and go, oh, wicked, got loads of energy, should be able to lift heavier, train harder, or I kind of, not almost like I'm trying to outrun it by doing it, but actually go, right, do you know what, this is a bonus to my training, and use it as a fuel, then I don't feel so bad about it, rather than going, oh no, I have to run off my pizza. It's like, no, do you know what, a pizza's giving me extra strength. Yeah. Pizza for strength. I'm really giving off the worst information on this podcast. Like last week it was Haribo,
I'll tell you,
this week it's pizza.
I mean, this is how I followed that up. So I woke up Sunday. This was actually day 2 of a big golf competition as well. So day 1, out that night, didn't get much sleep, back in at 1 a.m, which was the first for a while.
Unbelievable.
Still got the sleep in, got up, had a later tea time, sort of just before lunch really. So painted the fence, kept busy, did some jobs, had a greens shake, which looks horrendous, sounds horrendous, actually tastes quite good. Put some fruit in there, whey protein, almond milk, some good fats from avocado, spinach leaves and stuff, greens powder. Bosh that, they said it's like 300 calories or something. Bosh that down. Calories are irrelevant, really. It's the nutrients in there. And then, woke up, had a coffee, black coffee first, had that later in the morning. Went to golf, just literally I always do it, just take a protein bar, piece of fruit and a litre of water. Play golf 4 hours, whatever. Didn't eat anything other than those snacks. Had a pint of Guinness at the end because the clubhouse was open for the first time pretty much, and it was on tap, so to get a good.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Guinness. Like that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not a big drinker, but you can't get Guinness the same unless it's out of the tap. No. And to be honest, it needs to be poured a few times. Anyway, we're not going to get into Guinness like worlds, but yeah, I understand the Guinness thing.
Then the dinner was my wife made roast chicken, just some cold salad potatoes and salad. Pretty small in terms of calories really, but quite a big dinner. And as it stood, I was probably in a calorie deficit of as much, if not more, than I was over on the Saturday, and that was just through being busy. Kind of partly choosing not to go crazy on a breakfast and try and take loads of lunch for me, because I knew I'd be busy. I'd rather just play golf than just eat the whole way around, and it worked. It kind of worked out that way, and actually, feel pretty good today.
Seems simple, right? But if you're busy, you're less likely to eat. Really, possibly the most simple thing in the world, and I know this. Like it works for a fact. It's when we sit down and we're doing less, we eat more. When we're busy and active, we tend to eat less. So not only are we burning more calories, we're consuming less calories. It seems like a win-win if you're trying to lose weight. Keep active, get yourself planned, get busy. The less you do, the more you're going to eat probably, the more calories you can consume, the more chance you're going to be in a surplus, probably not going to be that happy. So get active, keep active, get the right things on. So we're going to wrap it up, and I think bit of a thought then, let's rewind, is I think the thought is, if you have been doing something for a long period of time, and you've not been getting the result you wanted, or you think you may have just been sort of plodding along, but you've not really ever got the big change you have desired or ever really pushed for or wished for, then maybe you need to look at a different angle. Look at things, open your eyes, look to see, be more accepted of new things that are out there, because as I said, and it's been said not by me, but by many people, Einstein, I think, was, the one that often gets, put out for this quote, but the definition of insanity, as he said, is doing the same thing time and time again and expecting a different result. Yet people have been going to, the same gym, doing the same thing, being the guy on the treadmill or the, whatever, on the cross trainer, and doing it for 30 minutes time and time again, and never really changing their body, but they've done it for years and years and years because they believe that cardio is the answer for weight loss or whatever, and that's just an example. Then let's look at maybe something different. What else is working for other people? What works well? What has maybe new research brought up? Possibly not new research, but different research to what you were initially told. Can you be open-minded? Can you keep yourself young by looking at what goes on out there, keeping yourself fresh, trying new things, bring in those that work for you, the things that, whether it's a previous diet that works well with your training or movements that you particularly feel like you feel better for doing, bring them in, but also be open-minded, keep young, keep learning, keep fresh with things, and get a bit of a different result.
The grass isn't always greener. Keep chopping and changing. It's not great for you, but if you're stuck in a rut, definitely. And we're really excited about, we're buzzing, in fact, about the changes we brought into to our business and to.
I just want everyone to see it and be a part of it.
We've delayed the showing of the basically
the big reveal.
The big reveal. That's what it's going to. But yeah, if you've enjoyed listening to this, obviously subscribe to our podcast. But you can also watch. We're videoing this. We're videoing them as well. So watch on YouTube, and you can actually see us sat opposite each other, chatting away, with a big Talkin' TUF logo there. So Talkin' TUF podcast. Thank you very much for listening, guys.
Cheers, guys. Peace.
Bye bye.